Guys, welcome. It is the John Lovell Show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're going to be talking about all the stuff that matters the most. I'll pull no punches talking about freedom and faith and family, firearms, fighting, fitness. I'm really reaching for F stuff and I'm on a roll. I feel like I just rocked out like a bunch. What's an F thing?
Food. Easy.
Fire trucks.
What? No. Let's go with food.
Food. I'm not going to talk about food, but for the purposes of alliteration, food. We'll do food. Not food. Also, the show will have cool elements like trainers from all over the country, top of the industry, respected folks spouting out all kinds of helpful knowledge to make you better defenders, protectors. That'll be part of the show. We'll also have on-fire dad jokes. I am really pumped about that because we already filmed some of it, and we're just splitting our sides, cracking up. Who do you think had the best dad jokes?
I think it was Samples.
Samples?
Samples had the best dad joke.
He was a sleeper, too. I didn't think he'd crush it. We also have the Q&A ambush section where I'm going to be taking questions from you guys. And all in all, this is going to be a fantastic show. We're pumped. We're looking forward to it, and it starts now. All right, welcome back to the show, guys. In this episode, we're going to talk about what is the greatest threat, the greatest issue facing America. And I immediately, when I just posed the question to the room, I had my issue. I had this thing. And as I thought more about it, I had different crises come to mind. And then I settled on one which really surprised me, and I think it'll surprise you too. But before I reveal that, I want to hear what some of my friends had to say about it. So I interviewed them, and you guys are going to come along for the journey. Here we go. King for a day, you can do anything to fix America. What's the biggest issue you're going for?
The president. I'd get rid of him, and I'd get someone back in that can do the job better.
If I'm king for a day, I think we kill the woke virus.
What's the woke virus, and how do you kill it?
It's an ideology, and so education, and they've taken over the schools, obviously, so it's a matter of, I think, educating people that you can't rewrite history, you have to learn from history and use it to influence a more positive future.
King for a day, what would you magically fix?
I would abolish the ATF.
I would say, like, for me, gas prices. You know, the gas I run on my race truck is $26 a gallon. It only gets 2 miles a gallon. In all reality, a more secure nation, more secure border. I don't like how the Afghanistan situation was handled.
Something lasting would be to institute some sort of criminal punishment for violating the Constitution.
Got it. What specifically? Like what specific violations of the Constitution?
Like some way to hold politicians accountable for doing counter-constitutional actions, because right now there's no teeth and it's showing, and that's probably one of the biggest detriments to the, I guess, priming the downfall of the country.
We have no sovereignty, and our sovereignty is under attack right now. If you look at our border and what's happening there, we have essentially the cartels in charge of our border. We are no longer. And we have an attack on sovereignty that's not just in that national or global sense, but also for us as human beings. So, king for a day, I would restore the idea of sovereignty starting here in the U.S.
All right, so you heard from some of my friends. I want to hear from you guys. Jump down below in the comments, and before you hear what I'm going to say, don't cheat, throttle ahead, and then say the thing or whatnot, because I'm really proud of my answer. I want to hear what yours is, so make sure you jump below the comments. Pause the video if you have to, but tell me what the greatest issue facing America is. If you were king for a day, what would you do? And never mind the fact that we would abolish the whole king thing because we're a republic, supposed to be anyway. So avoid that thing, jump in the comments and let us know. Now, the very first issue I ran to was the abortion issue. Here, I think it's the war against the unborn, and I realize everything's become politicized, and how this is a political issue, I don't know, because really it's just, I mean, it's a biological issue. It's a baby is inside you, or that's not considered a baby. How someone could say that's not a human life is really, really asinine to me. I cannot comprehend that. It's got a separate heartbeat, a separate blood type. Maybe my kids have my blood type, not my wife's blood type. Now, if that was part of her body would attack that foreign blood type. But since it's a separate body, it didn't, and the babies were just fine. It has a separate DNA code. It has fingers and toes and brain activity. This is a separate human life. It is growing. And so We kill over 1 million babies per year in the United States. And so I'm like, man, if I could change anything, I would like to save 1 million innocent lives. That's the protector in me. Protectors want to protect the weak and the innocent. There's no one weaker and more innocent than babies. And so I'd like to protect those as that good warrior poet thing. Who are we? We're people who live for a higher purpose. We're ready to sacrifice in the defense of others. That's our big shtick as warrior poets. But as much as I feel that one in my veins, and as folks who were trying to adopt for years and we have kids, this one's really near and dear to our heart. As much as I feel that one in my blood, that's not my top issue. It's not. There's other issues I run to, and I'm like, all right, fentanyl is killing all kinds of people. It's exploding the southern border, and some people are like, hey, keep these cartels off and secure our southern border. That's a really big deal. I see the overthrow of all of our institutions of power. I see government corruption. And so whatever I hang out on in terms of a crisis, that pretty soon after I talk myself up into it, I'm like, that's the biggest issue. But I think the biggest issue, and this is the one that surprised me, I think it's got to be election integrity. Did you guys follow the Kari Lake, Katie Hobbs gubernatorial race in Arizona? Did y'all watch any of that? For those of you guys who don't know, Kari Lake lost an election to Katie Hobbs for governorship of Arizona. Now, Kari Lake was wildly, by all indices and by all polls, far more popular than Katie Hobbs. But get this, guess who was the elected official to oversee the election? Katie Hobbs. Somehow, Katie Hobbs, the person running against Kari Lake, got to oversee her own election. And it was just absolutely wildly fraudulent. If you guys didn't follow any of it, here, this will catch you up just a little bit. Here's Kari Lake.
Arizona, it's Kari Lake, and I wanted to update you on what's happening in our fight against Arizona's sham elections and those who run them. For starters, I want you to know that I am firmly in this fight with you. Maricopa County just couldn't wait to certify their botched election. The botched election where half of Election Day voting centers were inoperable. The botched election where Election Day printers caused mayhem across the county. The botched election where Arizonans were expected to wait in line 2, 3, 4, even 5 hours simply to exercise their sacred right to vote. Arizonans were told to throw their vote into a drawer where it might ultimately end up in a plastic bin or a trash bag. Maricopa County, where it took 2 weeks to count, is the poster child for broken, botched elections.
So this stuff's out there. I remember back in 2020, my wife and I were watching the Trump-Biden race, and we were watching Trump winning, and around 10 or 11 o'clock Eastern, we remember all of a sudden the race just stopped. We were irritated that Fox News was calling the race so early for Biden, of like all of a sudden of like 5 votes counted, Biden, and they'd immediately call it for Biden before MSNBC or CNN or anything like that. I'm like, what's up with Fox News? Can we get a little bit more reporting? Why are they racing to call state? And that was, we were irritated with that, but we're just kind of watching, bated breath. We definitely didn't want Biden to be our president. And so, but around 10 or 11 o'clock, we remember it just stopped. And we watched on for an hour or two, and my wife kept being like, it stopped. What happened? We've watched elections before, and it's never done this, and it stopped. And then overnight, it didn't keep going. I even woke up and checked my phone. I'm like 2 a.m, and still stopped. And then the next morning, we check our phone, and somehow Biden just takes this massive leap ahead of like, oh, we counted, of like, hey, guess what? I'm not buying it. I don't buy it. And I certainly don't buy the Kari Lake, Katie Hobbs thing. I'm not buying it. And so already there is far too much fraud for me to have a great amount of confidence in our election. Now, I'm still voting. And I still think that you should, obviously. But we need to do stuff right now. We need to push all of our elected officials to make sure our elections are secure, because if you don't, there's great cost. Guys, welcome to Shameless Plug. This is the point in the show where I, without shame, because if I had shame and a shameless plug, it would be completely contradictory, and that's not how we're going. So without shame, I promote our store, because this is how you support the society. We have a special curated section that's the best bang for your buck on our website, so make sure you shop our website, warriorpoetsociety.com. Now I'll strip for everyone. That's right. free show. You're welcome. This is my EDC, Everyday Carry Belt, and it's a ratcheting system. It's firm, so it holds up a gun, whether you're in the appendix, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever. It holds a gun well, and even if you don't have a gun, it's extremely comfortable, and this is why. Here, listen. Oh, it ratchets. And so if I sit down, I'm carrying a gun, and I start eating all my tacos and stuff, and my belly's going out, and I'm getting fat and happy, I can just reach down discreetly and push this button, and it opens up, right? And then when I stand up and I'm ready to conceal so I'm not printing, I just basically push in and it conceals really well. This is fantastic. Rush our site. This has been a shameless plug. The first reason you have to secure elections is because corrupt folks, we have no way to get rid of them. And so we go from corrupt officials to more and more corrupt officials, and we have no recourse as a people. Now, it's not just that we have corrupt officials, it's that every issue that you care about and that they're supposed to represent you on is now completely gone. Whatever your issue, whether it's border or economy or military readiness, whatever your issue that you can bring up, you are no longer represented and your vote doesn't matter anymore. Now you're truly living in a tyrannical society, and voting is a sham. Democracy is a sham. There's plenty of countries around the world of like China. It's called the People's Republic of China, right? Like there's no People's Republic. This is outright tyranny, and they use the language of freedom to mask the ostensible tyranny that actually exists. We're doing the same thing. We're playing semantically with words. We have to be ever so vigilant of like, I remember a few years ago, even, I didn't look at Canada or Australia nearly the same way I look at them now. They were kind of like, oh, they're kind of free. They're good. I'm like, man, Canada and parts in Europe, Australia, you tweet the wrong thing, you can get shut down, your bank account's frozen, you could go to jail. Policemen will come to your door. It's happened. You can very quickly look at all of our lawmakers of like, you want to fast track to become a multimillionaire, become a politician. And then they sit in these seats for 20, 30, 40 years. I'm like, nope, I think it's corrupt. So if you don't have secure elections, you are absolutely going to move from corruption to worse and worse corruption with no recourse of gaining it. Now, it doesn't just stop at who the leaders are. Now it's all the issues that you and I care about. Fill in whatever you think is the greatest issue facing America that is listed underneath this one. So this is kind of like the catch-all. If our elections aren't secure, none of the issues that we can bring to bear will go the way that you would like it to as free people. Now, I've listed 2 reasons why this one's really, really the biggest issue facing America, and I'll go ahead and mention a third. The third would mean the founding of our country is utterly gone. And I think our founding of America, it's what made us Americans, right? It's not color of skin or a very certain culture or anything like that, because we're just such a melting pot. And that's the beauty of America. We're a melting pot of different ethnicities and backgrounds and cultures. It's not the culture that makes you American, it's the Constitution. You know, it's these truths that we hold self-evident, that we're one nation under God for liberty and justice for all, right? And so that's the big American dream. And without the Constitution, we're adrift. So we lose our national identity as well. The past is rewritten. Now, a fourth reason why this has got to be the biggest issue facing America today, because you have a free people, armed to the teeth, by the way, that lose all of their representation. All the issues don't go their way. The economy starts tanking and people are not able to survive. And meanwhile, you've got leaders that are cramming down all this tyranny down their throats. Eventually, it's going to boil over to revolution, which means a lot of people die, whether it's a failed or successful revolution. Either way, it's really, really bloody. And all of it could be mitigated if we just kept our elections secure. And this is what I need all you guys to do about it. One is don't lose hope. Don't abandon the polls. Some of you will be like, well, because it's not a perfect system or because there is fraud, my vote doesn't count. I'm like, no, that's not true. Maybe instead of your vote being really impactful and as secure as it could be, maybe it's less, but it's not zero. And there's still hope across the country. You've got Mayor Lori Lightfoot is now ousted. She got creamed in the election. Now, I have no idea whether the folks that supplanted her are way worse or better? I don't really know, but there's hope of like as governors, Ron DeSantis crushed in Florida. Stacey Abrams is not the governor of Georgia. Now, I think there is voter fraud that's happening in differing amounts around the country. What that means is we can still win right now. We just have to win so large that we beat the margin of their cheating. So if we can't win 51-49 anymore because the voter fraud is like boom right here. But if we avalanched them, if it's like 75-25, then after they're done cheating, we still beat them. And so there is still hope. You should still be doing that. And what we should be doing is focusing on pushing our elected officials absolutely to give us election integrity. None of this silly, hey, voter ID is racist. Absolute worthless argument. That is absolutely asinine stupid. Don't even entertain such arguments. It's not racist to show your driver's license somewhere or your ID card. Absolutely not. But this is where we'll get lulled to sleep. There's so many crisis issues facing our country. And the mainstream media will thrust all these things in front of you and say, hey, care about this one this week. All right, now that crisis is gone. Okay, all right, we don't really care about Hunter Biden's laptop, and we don't really care about the classified documents with Biden anymore because that was like a few weeks ago. And so now there's a new crisis. We have to remember what is the most important issues to us. And we have to stay on them and ride that thing until we get what we need. And that's election integrity. So no matter what mainstream media tells you to care about, this is what you should really care about most. And then all the other issues. And I think it'd be helpful if you actually sat down. This is a good thought exercise for us, is to sit down and say, no, I don't want to be told what's the most important issues. I get what's the hottest issue going on, but those are oftentimes a smokescreen. They're a distraction. Is that really the most important issue? What are the most important issues? And I think that's what we should be really forcing ourselves to hold on to. I find myself writing down issues so that I don't forget. I'm forgetting stuff. Stuff is happening so fast and it's all so cataclysmic. There's so much crisis that now horrible stuff is just kind of like, it's just one more thing wrapped up in all the ether. And I'm like, no, I want to remember. I want to log, but I think I'm getting lulled to sleep by all the propaganda. I'm forgetting to care about stuff that I really cared about a month ago. Care about election integrity, mobilize, speak out, get your elected officials involved, and hold them accountable. All right, moving on with the show, guys. I have something of a confession to make, and I'm watching. You guys are looking at me right now like you're already judging me, and I haven't even said anything. I feel like this should be like a safe space. No?
It
depends.
It depends.
Spoiler alert, the only safe places are places with good guys with guns. That's the only real safe spaces. So if you're looking for a safe space, carry a gun. All right, anyway, I might have become a feminist last night. I think I'm a feminist now. And if you guys want to know what went down and my attack on failed Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, you're going to have to go over to our streaming service. Now, some of you guys will be like, oh, the bait and switch. I'm like, hey, I just gave you a whole bunch of stuff. And so calm down. But if it'd be cathartic to all like boo me, I want you to here, let's do it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Guys, practically speaking, there's a couple reasons why I really need you to support us on watchwpsn.com. And one is this. We're on borrowed terrain and borrowed time here in big tech space. Whether you're tuning in on a podcast or you're tuning on YouTube, this terrain is not for us. And they keep redoing algorithms, and each time it hurts us more and more. It's to crush ideological voices that disagree with them. Therefore, if you go to our platform, we're able to talk about whatever we want, gloves off, no restrictions. Furthermore, we must build parallel institutions of power. Right now, the left controls all the institutions of power, and if we don't use what we've got now to rebuild alternate choices, you're going to find yourself without representation in news and entertainment and academia and all the stuff that matters. So you need to invest now. We actually really do need your help. The rest of our show will be over on Watch WPSN, our training tips, our dad jokes. I'm going to give you a little taste of what you're missing. Also, our Q&A ambush over on our streaming service and app.
What did the dishwasher say to the oven on a productive day? You've been on fire. cooking joke.
Yeah. Is that because I'm a girl?
Cut.
Hey, what's up, guys? Coming at you with your pro tip. This is it. This is how we maximize our target life, and by extension, you're going to maximize your training value.
So I was cruising Twitter, which is never a good idea for me, but I saw Pete Buttigieg. How do y'all say his name? Something Matt said triggered it. He says, my problem is, do I continue providing for my family? Yes, you should do that. Or do I find a job where I can make a difference? And there it is, this illusory, find the perfect job.
A dyslexic guy walked into a bra.
Mathematical question here. If 2/3 of people suffer from constipation, over on our streaming service and app, you'll find all kinds of YouTube content. For us, it's all backed up. Also some YouTubers that you know and love already, their content's there, and it's a better streaming experience. Furthermore, we've invested huge money and assets and all kinds of great creativity, creating full shows that are binge-worthy, very entertaining. I think you'll be surprised. Additionally, we have full training classes. These are my tactical rifle and pistol classes. We've got Craig Douglas teaching you entangled up-close gun and knife fighting. We've got Ryan Kleckner showing you sniper stuff of how to end someone from a different zip code. We got Matt Boudreau teaching you how to educate your kids. All kinds of stuff. I cannot impress how much you're missing. Make sure you check it out. And so you're not as mad at me anymore. I'm going to give you 2 free months if you sign up for a year, if you sign up now. Signing up's easy. All you have to do is open a browser window. You type in watchwpsn.com. JL Show is the coupon code. That'll take 2 months off a year sign up. After you've got your account, you can go to the App Store and download it on iOS, Apple TV, Android, Roku, whatever blows your hair back. Again, we really appreciate it. Check out the rest of the show there, and here's a sneak peek of some stuff there. 2023 is going to be the best year for the WPSN streaming service, and this is why.
This day is gonna be the greatest memory.
If you're letting failure hold you back, you will become paralyzed by that, and the world will pass you by.
That golden touch, time to light it up. Let's go. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Yeah, this is it. Go! Go!
Gosh, this is going to be awesome. Special edition.
We're going to be intentional about how we raise our young heroes.
Yeah, this is it. Go!
All this and so much more coming soon, only to WPSN.